Good morning, you fucking scallywags. This is the Demise Podcast. We're up to number 20 or 21, I'm not sure. But I've been listening to Bill Burr's podcast and Joe Rogan's podcast. And I've been listening to Joe Rogan's for 4 or 5 years ago. Definitely one of the most popular podcasts out there. And what makes these podcasts unique and different is the fact that I was going through some old Joe Rogan podcasts. And originally, radio shows, right? Radio shows are pretty straightforward, like Howard Stern and shit like that, right? And I don't know if they really got too deep into conversations because they're more about making fun of other people and just being complete ass fucks on the microphone and on video and stuff. But that kind of paved the way a little bit. Now, see, the thing about the Joe Rogan podcast, that became so phenomenal and so different and unique and had that nice little slow start, and now it's everywhere, I believe, is because they were talking about stuff that a lot of other people are thinking about but are too afraid to talk about or just don't know how to word it right. And maybe because Joe Rogan and what was his name, Brian or something, the other guy that with the really high-pitched voice, Trussell, whatever his name is, they would go into topics that were really, really deep. And I think they have both dealt with psychedelics before, and Joe Rogan is a big marijuana advocate, which is good. And so, yeah, I'm just like, wow. I knew of the Joe Rogan podcast for the longest time, like 4 or 5 years ago. And all the stuff he was saying was so deep, and I was like, yes, 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 and I knew it all along. And it wasn't until yesterday when I finally listened to this one podcast with him saying, dude, people are coming up to me and saying that this podcast is revolutionizing their whole entire life. It's stuff that they've never thought in that type of way, and that it's a new avenue and a new way to expand the conscious, or like he says, the collective unconscious. And I know that Bill Hicks is a big influence on Joe Rogan as well. He likes... Bill Hicks was a comedian, one of my favorite comedians of all time. He died in 92 or 93. And unfortunately, that sucks because Bill Hicks was more of a revolutionary in a sense too. He wasn't necessarily about jokes. He was more about spreading awareness, spreading consciousness through comedy. Okay? So he was a very enlightened person who just happened to do comedy. You know what I mean? Joe Rogan is a very smart, enlightened person, aware that he's on his psychedelics, that just so happens to be the host of UFC, one of the hosts of UFC, ex-host of Fear Factor, all that stuff. So it's crazy how yesterday, after 4 to 5 years, I'd say 5 years of listening to Joe Rogan's podcasts, not every single day. I wasn't following every single episode, but it would just come up on YouTube. I'd listen. I've seen podcasts on the old iPods and shit, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I'd click on it. I had no idea what it was. I wish I would have known what the fuck it was a long time ago and just been doing this. But, you live, you learn, and we die. All right? Like that. I met Kevin Smith in Milpitas, California, because he was doing a show at the San Jose Improv. And, I didn't want to mention it to Kevin Smith, but one of the most haunting and stories that Joe Rogan's podcast has with Kevin Smith on it is the story about his father. The story about how his father passed away and how he died screaming his brother said. So I'm not going to mention that to Kevin Smith at all, you know what I mean? Unless we were sitting down having a nice conversation. But, I just met him and took a picture with him, and I was like, hey, I love your podcast. I love your videos. And, of course, your movies. Hello, Silent Bob. But, yeah, that's just one thing that I came across yesterday, which was really, it's stuff that you already know. But once it's put into layman's terms, per se, or once it's put into the simplest form, like Joe Rogan saying, he was surprised. It's like he was finding out, and this is before he had 1 million subscribers and before the podcasts were very, very all over the place, you know what I mean? And he was just like, dude, this thing we're doing right now is revolutionizing the fucking people's philosophy and psychology. It's revolutionizing the consciousness, human consciousness, because it's not like radio. It's not like you get on there and you're like, hello, it's Demise Music and Entertainment here. We're going to spin another record, but let's get a caller in and some stupid shit, and they're like, oh, shut up. It's different. It's like they're on there, especially the people on there now. It's like they're talking about stuff that is just, me and my brother Rick 1 would be having conversations, okay, in the car, me and him sipping some brews, or in his house or in my house drinking all night, and we would have some of the deepest conversations ever, and they went away, right? So I wish that we would have recorded those conversations so I can always go back and be like, holy shit, because those are ones that you can't really get back. Just like Joe Rogan and Brian Trussell, whatever his name is, they have that on record. They have that documented on the podcasts. All these all these little nuggets of ideas that stand out, and then people make motivational compilation videos taking pieces from that and just spread the seed, spread the idea, spread the thoughts. So that's really, really awesome, man. Really awesome. Yesterday was really, really tough in a sense, because I know I have to balance out my life. I know life is a balance for everybody. Yin and yang, black and white. You can't have all happiness and all sadness. If you have all sadness, you're gonna go jump off a bridge. If you have all happiness, there's got to be a downside. There is a downside to the happiness. Someone's gonna pass away. What, you're gonna stay happy when your mom or dad passes away, or your loved one? So there's always a sadness and a happiness, up and a down. You know what I mean? Stock market goes up and goes down. Recessions happen. The economy goes up, goes down. Now, yesterday I was pretty down because, good news, my girlfriend got a job offer, right? And she pretty much got the job. I'm not going to explain what it is, but it's better than what she's making now. She has to go into training. It's a 10-day training, and we've been waiting for this because she's excited to start this new venture, this new job, full time. Okay, so she wanted to do part time at first, but they're gonna do her just above full time, so it's not 40 plus hours a week. Okay, it's less than that, but it's not part time either, which is good because she gets the full benefits and stuff. So she texted me that she basically got the job, that the manager was on vacation, came back, said sorry about the wait. You have the job though. I hope you didn't find something else. My girlfriend's like, no, I've just been waiting for you guys. Background check, everything's good. Now, when she said that, I was like, yes, I was very excited, but this overwhelming, not pain, but just like over my heart, man, because, we have a son together. We have a baby boy. There's someone needs to watch that kid. And when she's at work a lot, I'm going to need to watch the kid majority of the time. Now, that really, not putting blame on my son, not anything like that. It comes with the territory, right? My choice to have my son, I got to take care of my kid. I'm in the transitional stage right fucking now. I'm in the transitional stage of going from an employee to becoming someone who's doing business, music on their own and with other people. Not necessarily on my own, but what I mean is my own business, my own entrepreneurial endeavors, my own music. Okay, I'm 28 years old, so when I was 17 through 26, 27, I worked countless number of jobs. I got fired from all these jobs except for the last one because I realized, I said, whoa, I'm a moron. Get your shit together, kid. And I almost got fired a couple times from that job, but they need people so bad. They're like, oh, no, we're not going to fire you. We're just going to, and they knew I was a good guy. They knew I had a lot of heart. I'm a hard worker. But when something kind of pisses me off, it shows, and I'm like, hey, fuck this shit over here, right? So to be in a transitional stage, I've dipped my toe into business. I have a little lightweight experience in business, okay? I have not ever started a full-fledged business of my own with my name on it, getting a bank account with it, paying for the business license or whatever. But what I have done is I've, put out products. I've put out my Demise rap album. I've had it on Consignment, which is I sign a contract to the store. And when I go to the store, I give them a certain amount of CDs, right? CDs are dinosaur technology now, but you give them about, say, 5 or 10 CDs. And on Consignment, they sell them for $8. No, they sell them for $7.98. And when someone buys that CD with tax, it comes out to $8.20. Now, when it comes out to $8.20, I keep 70% of the profit, and the store keeps 30% of the profit. So that's Consignment, and I've had to do that a few times, which is cool. It's like business, you know what I mean? Like, I put up the money to get my CDs. I went to that store, I signed a contract, and I said, hey, here's my product with the barcode. They scan it, they put it in their system, and they say, good, now we'll keep track of how many we sell. I sold in the store like about 14 to 15 copies, which in 2014 or 2015, that's fucking great, man, because no one buys CDs anymore. Everyone streams music, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. And then I sold a bunch on the streets. I sold a whole bunch of CDs on the streets. But it's different times now. It's time to sell music online, sell singles, sell stuff through iTunes, Spotify, whatever, like I just said. So to have a beautiful girlfriend who does not have her license yet, so I got to drive her all these places. I've been telling her, get her license, get your license, we'll get you a car, I'll help you out. And to have a son that's 6 months old, and to be transitioning from being an employee for fucking 10 years, right? Transitioning. So, like, this whole 10 years of habit is me clocking in somewhere, listening to a manager, and obeying their, complying with what they need at the job done. Biting my tongue, biting my lip, and working, okay? I never really complained too much about jobs that I was at, but what I did was I would get mad at customers for being a dick. I get mad at employees for being assholes. That's why I get fired. Or being late. I was being late all the time because I was like, I start at 2:30. Then I get a call. Hey, you start at 2. Oh, shit. All right, I'll be there. I did that a bunch of times. Sorry, guys. But it was never to be like, oh, I can't come in today because this is how... Fuck that. I was always like, you know what? I was in there, I was working, and if I didn't like something, I'd express it. And then people don't like when you express it. Therefore, getting fired from like 10 jobs. But yeah, it's like I've been a habit of job, resume, build a resume, go in there, fill out the application. There you go, bada bing, bada boom, you got the fucking job. We'll see how long you last, kid. Get your paycheck. There you go, shut up, you're happy now. Get fucking $150 taxed from your paycheck. Yeah, go cry to the government. And that for 10 fucking years at a bunch of different jobs, you know what I mean, was really annoying. But at the time, that's all I really fucking knew. And at the time, that's all I really, my mind was, I didn't learn anything. I mean, I learned a lot from those jobs. But what I mean was my mind, my spectrum was so much smaller that I did not know that I could be the manager. I didn't know that I could be the boss. I didn't know that, it just wasn't in my reality. I thought that is a manager of this establishment because they're born that way. I never knew it was like a mental thing. Like, in order to be a manager, it's all up in your mind. You got to have the mental capability of dealing with a bunch of employees who are complaining, who are not coming in, who are, it's tough. It is not easy. And therefore, I'm just like, that was not in my paradigm. That wasn't in my mind. But now, after learning a lot from those jobs, learning what I do like and what I don't like, I have funneled it all down. I've sifted it all down like I'm searching for fucking gold. You know what? That's a good metaphor. Holy shit. That's what going through all these jobs and having all these friends, and that's what life is about. It's about sifting through dirt and sand and fucking muck to get the gold, to get the golden nuggets, man, to get the riches. And what those riches are is experiences and finding out what you truly love. See, that's like, these are the little moments right here that are just, boom, mind-blowing, right? So I've sifted through all the shit and I found out what I love. Okay? And I've already known it for the longest time. It just took me years of my mind saying, no, this is right. I gotta go to work. I gotta get a job. I gotta fucking... For what? I didn't save a fucking dime. I didn't save anything. It all went away. My mind was like, this is all me. It's all on me. Not blaming anybody. I would go to work, fucking, say it's a swing shift, 4 p.m. to midnight. Go to work my ass off, and, get off, and then go fucking straight to drinking, booze, spending all my money, and then I'd wind up back at, oh shit, I'm broke again. Can't wait till next paycheck. It's a fucking shitty cycle. I'm just going to show my son and tell him, like, hey, trust me, son, this is what you don't want to do. If you want to work a job, go work a job. I'm going to show you. I'm going to enlighten you. I'm going to fucking show you that, I'd say put half of your fucking paycheck away. And the other half, use for straight up shit you need. Do not buy shit that you want. Don't buy a fucking PlayStation 3. Don't buy video games. Don't buy... The worst one is DVDs. Okay? I grew up with a family where VHS tapes were... And DVDs too. They actually fucking did it with DVDs. They filled up closets full of DVDs or full of VHS tapes. And see, the thing about that is that's all money spent that you will never get back on shit that you might not even ever watch. So you're basically spending money on garbage, essentially, just taking up space. And I know it's a habitual habit of going out there and like, oh shit, it's only $1. Oh shit, it's only $5. Look at this. Yeah, those add up. before you know it, you're going to spend all that money, and you're going to be like, where did it all go? Where did that paycheck, like, it's all gone now? Like, what the fuck? And then you realize, yeah, you spent $250 on little shit. That $250 could have been in your savings account, and when something happens and you need $200, you could have pulled that shit out and used it in an emergency, $200, with $50 left over. But no, you spent that $250 on VHS tapes or DVDs or video games, PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 video games. See, that was not in my paradigm either. That was not in my reality. It was not in my reality to think like that. You know what I mean? Let me set up this camera real quick and show people. Yep, that's what happens, guys. That's what happens. So making the shift from making the shift from being an employee to being the entrepreneur, or whatever you want to call it. Lately, the word entrepreneur, like, everyone's been throwing that shit around left and right. And you see it all over YouTube now with YouTube ads. And then when I said something about business, my mom's like, everybody's trying to be an entrepreneur. Everyone's trying to be an entrepreneur. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I wanted to find out why. She's like, well, my friend works in this place, and everyone else that works there, that's a millennial. That's what she said. Millennials want to be entrepreneurs. Well, nowadays, it's so easy to be an entrepreneur. You can just fucking sell shit on Amazon and be like, oh, I run my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? There's different types of entrepreneurship, right? There's the Amazon. Hold on, let me set it up. My bad. Demise here, doing a podcast on the laptop, and I'm doing a vlog / podcast on the camera, right? See? So, what I was just explaining on the podcast, if you're listening to the podcast, now I got the video camera on for the video segment of this vlog podcast. I don't know what the fuck to call these damn things. Just consciousness awareness spreading, right? I was explaining how my mom said all millennials want to be entrepreneurs. Millennials all want to be entrepreneurs. And I was like, what do you mean by that, Mom? And then she said her friend works at a place and her friend is not a millennial. Millennials are people that were growing up in like the 2000s, right? I think. And I was just like, what do you mean by that? And she said her friend works with a bunch of people that are millennials, and they're like, oh yeah, I also do this on the side. I write books on the side, or whatever the fuck, you know. But what I was explaining in the podcast, what I'm explaining now, is like, there's different levels. Entrepreneur is getting pushed in everyone's face now. You go on YouTube ads and you see entrepreneur, startup, how to be an entrepreneur, all this shit, right? But a lot of people can become an entrepreneur nowadays easier because they'll just go on Amazon, set up a store on there and sell shit on Amazon. And they're like, I have my own business selling things on Amazon. I am an entrepreneur. You're kind of an entrepreneur, I guess. But there's also people who want to benefit society, right? And in a way that might be benefiting society. But if you're selling shit that's not benefiting society in a way, right? You're just selling shit because you're like, oh yeah, to make money. and it's just random stuff that you're finding everywhere. I don't know if that's necessarily entrepreneurship, okay? It may be, it may not. There's a fine line, right? But maybe there's a hazy line now. I think it's getting a little hazier. It covers a whole broad spectrum. But there's definitely that cutoff line right there where it's like, all right, I am a business owner, okay? I am a business owner because I started a business from scratch. Therefore, I am an entrepreneur. I have courage. I love taking responsibility, and I'm here to serve others with this business. Say it's a restaurant or a food place, right? And they're like, I'm here to benefit my society by having a nice place for people to eat, clean, affordable, ready to go. That right there is a business owner. Therefore, they're an entrepreneur. They're it might not be on their agenda either to benefit society, right? There's shady people out there too. And then there's the other spectrum, right? Which is people that are like perhaps selling stuff on Amazon. You know what I mean? Or, I sold shit on eBay when I was like 16. Did that make me an entrepreneur? Not really. What it was those are entrepreneurial things, right? That's little sparks right there. That shows that you have that spirit, entrepreneurial spirit. Or like when I was selling t-shirts over yonder that were stolen. I was stealing t-shirts when I was young, and I was like hustling them in front of other stores, right? Other clothing stores, and people were like, oh shit, you got some good stuff. See, that's entrepreneurial spirit. But my reality was not that there's repercussions for that shit. I thought I was smarter. I thought I was like, no one's going to catch me. I'm too smart for this. But in reality, the universal laws are going to expose you. You're going to get caught for stealing, and you're going to get caught for all that shit, right? So, if you want to find out what you are, it's not so cut and dry. Okay? I'm in the transitional stage from being the employee for fucking 10 years, habitually clocking in, habitually going to work, biting my lip, listening to a manager's and the company rules and being obedient, like I said in the podcast already. And 10 years of that, it just kind of, it's because my reality didn't understand that I can go out and do that. My reality didn't understand that I can go out and make money doing what I love. My reality wasn't open to the possibility that I can even be a manager at a place, or even be a boss, or even be the business owner. It was not in my reality. I was just like, oh, you're either born that way or you're born like this. I'm just this way. But it's really mental. I'm glad I got back to this, because I've been doing the podcast for like 30 minutes now. And like I said in the podcast as well, in life, when you're going through friendships, when you're going through relationships, when you're going through jobs, it's like a sifter, or it's like you're filtering out all the dirt looking for gold, right? So you have a bunch of fucking sand and dirt and shit, and you're going through it, and the water's pouring out and the dirt's pouring out, and you're trying to find the gold, right? And that's years. All that shit is just years and experience and bullshit that you're going through. And then finally at the end, you see like 2, 3, 4 golden nuggets, and you're like, whoa. After shaking off all that bullshit that I went through, and luckily survived, I sifted through and I found gold, which is, metaphorically speaking, for I have the better ideas. I have more strength. I have more wisdom. I have better opportunities now. I have better friends. I have better vocabulary. I have better visions of what to do and what not to do, because I have sifted through all the shit. I've sifted through all the dirt and sand and muck, and I found the gold. You know what I mean? Like, metaphorically speaking, I just came up with that shit in my head right now. That's why it's kind of hard for me to explain it, but it makes perfect sense. Okay? The sand and dirt and water that you're shaking off represents the years of trial and error, trial and tribulation, pain and agony of going through shit. But you always know you have that little fucking nugget in there. You know there's a golden nugget in that fucking scoop of the dirt. You know there's a golden nugget in there. You just need to go through the work. And unfortunately, some people never fucking, they stop fucking sifting, and they just put it down. They're like, I'm never going to find gold. I'm never going to expand my mind. I'm stuck this way. This is how I am. I am this way. And it shouldn't be like that, but I understand that it is always going to be like that, because, you know, some people never continue learning. We all learn until we're dead. We can learn from now all the way up till 90 years old. Okay? That's just one thing I wanted to say was sift through, go through the fucking hard times, find your golden nuggets, find your what stands out to you the most. That shiny gold, what is that to you? What is that shiny gold to you? Is it a better friendship? Is it the love of your life? Is it a business opportunity, right? Like Google was called Back Rub. And they're putting up, shout out to Jack Chappell, by the way, because I'm using what he was talking about as a reference. You know, they would put up ads saying, we need help finding programmers who know Java and can help us out using Java, because we're trying, you know, they wanted to start a website, and it was called Backrub, and it was at Stanford for about 1,000 Stanford students, I believe, or whoever, to use as a search engine. And it kept growing and growing and growing, and they changed the name to Google. You see how sifting through that back rub and all that other shit, they had to go through that to find Google. They had to go through that and finding out things to do, things not to do. Okay? So yeah, I want to know what you guys freaking think, man. I want to know what you guys listening, if anyone does listen to these things, thinks about that or has any experience in completely changing their life style from employee to entrepreneur. Because I really do not want to look back when I'm 60, 70 years old, if I make it to that age. You know, a lot of people think they are going to live till 75. They're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be 75 and I'm going to be a grandpa. You never know. I have family members that are just dead. They're just gone, right? Friends that are just dead, gone. Didn't even make it to 30. My cousin didn't make it to 20. And he's dead and gone. So, is there anything, guys, like any tips, any learning curves, any loopholes? I'm not trying to get this quickly. I want it to be, you know, I don't want it to be a house or a fence that goes up fast. I want it to be a fence that goes up and stays up forever. You know what I mean? So anything helps, any advice, any tips, if anyone's listening, that'd be awesome. So thank you all so much for listening to the Demise Podcast, and over and out. Later.